Now, about 40 or so of our favorite people around work in the room. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. We have a lot of information to cover today. We also want to make sure we leave time for questions, for further discussions about anything as you may need that as well. So a few points as we begin. First of all, welcome again to this superintendent update for 2021-2022. Today, we are going to be mentioning some of the new features we've added to NEE that you'll be able to find in the data tool or in other resources that may help with what you and your district are accomplishing with your district goals. We will also be talking about current features that you may need refreshers on, reminders on as we go through that. So really looking forward to the conversations that develop today, the questions that come to us today, and maybe even today as well. Always look forward to getting those questions answered for you, to getting the materials or resources you may need. Let me go ahead and introduce myself, and then let the rest of our NEE team quickly introduce themselves to you all as well. As we're doing that, I would also like each of you participating in this webinar today to go ahead and introduce yourselves through chat, and let me get a template out for you. One chat message. I would like you to go ahead and type in your full name, your position, the district you're in, just so we get a good feel for who all is in the room. So you could connect with your colleagues, see who else is in the room with you, and have that open up. Again, all in one message, your name, your position in the school district that you are with. I will start off the NEE team introductions. My name is Tom Hairston. I am the managing director for the Network for Educator Effectiveness. I've been with NEE for 10 years, and we are celebrating our 10th year anniversary. So I've been here from and just keep getting better. It's been a blast working with each of you, helping your principals, your teachers, your students with achieving the goals for schools, for districts, and for individuals. We've just had an amazing amount of success through conversations, through trying to make this as informal as possible, as fun as possible, and as encouraging as possible in the frame of mindsets and everything we do. So I've had a blast. I'm happy to be here with you today as well. And I'm going to let the rest of our team introduce themselves to you all, and we'll start with Chuck.
The mute button, Chuck. I'll start.
I think Chuck may be frozen. Okay, Mark, go for it.
Okay, Mark Doss, I'm joining you this morning from Ozark, and it's great to see all these names on here and faces. I recognize most of you, and again, welcome if you're new to NEE, and it's great to see everyone this morning. Again, I primarily take care of the Southwest region and the states of Kansas and Nebraska, and as far as field support services. Great to see everybody this morning.
All right, thank you, Mark. Now let's go to Chuck.
Sorry about that. I had a noise and I thought Tom said Mark's name and not mine. My name is Chuck Mays. I work with training and support, and I'm based out of Sykes and work primarily with the southeast part of Missouri, but available for anyone and happy to see everybody here today.
All right. Thank you, Chuck. And Sherry.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sherry Patterson. I am the trainer coming to you from St. Joseph, Missouri. I'd like to say a big hello to all my Northwest colleagues that I see on here, and there are many of you. Glad to be here, and I'm very happy that you're all here.
All right. Thank you, Sherry. And then Kendra.
Good morning. I'm Kendra Christians. I am the marketing director for NEE and based here in Columbia.
And we will round off with Kathy. Round us off.
Hi, I'm Kathy Losing. I'm also in Columbia and I write the materials for EdHub. And you are probably more familiar with me on the phone for the help desk. And this time of year, I'm the one sending those reminders about finishing up your training for the year. So that's what I do for NEE.
And let's not undersell that. Kathy is the glue that keeps everything together. So anytime you have questions, of course, reach out to us at our help desk. Quickest way is through email, nee@missouri.edu. We'll flash that email later today, as well as our help desk phone number also. So let me go ahead and talk about the agenda for today. And as I do this, and any time throughout today, we're going to have times that we ask questions to you all, but we also want you all to take advantage of the chat feature and ask questions of us. We're going to keep our eyes on chat the whole time. We will be dropping documents that help explain some of the features that we'll be talking about today into chat as well, so you can download those and have those available. But as we are going through stuff, definitely make sure you're getting your specific questions answered before you leave today. And if a question comes up after today, email us. You have emails from one of the four of us, Mark, Chuck, Sherry, or myself. And then you could also email us at nee@missouri.edu. We definitely want to answer each and every question you have so that NEE could be as effective for you as you wish it to be. The agenda for today, you should see in front of you. We're going to do just a few minutes of housekeeping, just reminding you of a couple of tasks that may need to be set up. We're going to talk about new features for 2021, 2022. We're going to cover summer training, give you a review of summer training, what your administrators and your administrative team went through for our summer training to help your conversation with them and your conversations throughout 2021. And then we're going to wrap this up by talking about some of the features from EdHub that are always going to be there to help support your work on demand as you may need help with the management of NEE. Interspersed throughout those, we'll have different points for discussions. We'll ask you some questions and we hope you get the chance to learn from your colleagues, to tell your colleagues about stuff happening within each of your school districts as well. So first of all, let me go through some housekeeping options, some housekeeping items for everybody, just to take some quick notes on. The first of those, we are moving to optional multi-year agreements, 3-year agreements. We know that there may be some school districts out there looking for different ways to help with the ESSER funding, trying to figure out different avenues forward with that. And so for that reason, or for any reason your district may choose, let us know. Email us of your interest in signing on to a multi-year agreement with us. Signing on to that multi-year agreement locks your price in for the current student population, and that just carries forward over the next 3 years. If the agreement you have in place is a single year rollover agreement, that agreement's already signed, that rolls over and continues to roll over each spring if that's the way you want to go. That still works, but if you do want to move to a multi-year agreement, we are happy to work with you and to send you the documentation for that agreement as well. Kendra has put in her email in chat so that you could drop her a line if that multi-year agreement is of interest to you. Secondly, We do know that this year, like other years, but more so this year, there has been numerous late hires. So if you do have an administrator that was hired late, that hasn't been through training yet, we still do have our on-demand available. Those on-demand options are for new evaluators as well as for returning evaluators that may just need to go through recertification. So email us again at nee@missouri.edu if you do have any new administrators within your building that have not been through NEE training this year or any year, and we will set them up with that appropriate on-demand training that they can take at their own convenience and at their own pace as they go through the rest of their duties as well. Also, a quick reminder that some of you may need to pass on to other people that kind of manage the data tool itself. But for any old accounts that you do have, whether those be teachers or administrators, do send those old accounts to the end employment building in the data tool for your district so that those accounts go to end employment. That definitely restricts the amount of information that a past employee can access via your district data tool. So do send those old accounts to end employment. If you need assistance with that, step-by-step walkthrough or anything like that, again, email us at nee@missouri.edu. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mark. He's going to talk about a few other features, components of NEE that may help as you begin this year.
Thanks, Tom. And we'll try to get that. There is an end employment document that shows you that process step by step, and we'll I bet Kendrick and or Kathy can get that document link and put that in chat for everyone, because that is an important step. And while we're talking about those kind of district level data tool duties that fall upon the district level user, along with the, you're also the one that you or someone in your office, adds during the summer. You also are the ones that manage the shared teachers. So if they have a second or third building, you're the one that assigns those shared responsibilities and add those buildings. You're also the one that handles the teacher survey. Typically during the December to February time period, we're using that teacher survey, and you're the one that turns that on and off and controls that process. And there's one other important step that typically happens during the winter before summatives start. There are some pull down options at the bottom of the summative reports, and you have the ability at the district level to change some of those pull downs. Don't want to get into a lot of details this morning, but if you need assistance, contact one of the trainers and we'll walk you how to manipulate those pull downs to match what you want to appear on the bottom of the summative. Okay, so the timeline documents, we have two timeline documents that are in the help and resources section. One is about that would give you a month by month set of activities and tasks around teacher evaluation. There's a second document that's the same type of activities month by month around the principal evaluation. So those are both in the help and resources section of the data tool. If you'll type in the word timeline in the search bar, those two documents appear and you can download those. But those are great ways to kind of help not only your work, but your principal's work around the calendar and making sure that the right things happen each month. Those are also, I believe, in a Word document, so you can, they're showing me they're in a PDF, but I know we can get those two in a Word document if you want to customize those for your district. Just touch base with us and we'll get you the Word version of those. But we've got a pretty good process on both those documents to help you navigate the year through all these various tasks. As far as a district user in the data tool, really wanted to kind of touch base with some of the newer superintendents that are new to NEE and may not have been in the data tool very much yet. But few reports in there that you as the district user really need to keep an eye on and help you manage all the evaluation processes. One is the district activity report that really shows you building by building and evaluator by evaluator how many observations have been done, to the point in the school year where you look at it. And that's a nice one to look at about every 6 or 8 weeks, just to make sure that the flow of the observation work is happening at each building, especially if you're in a fairly large, moderate to large district. That's a very helpful report. Another report that you'll want to watch is the indicator trend report. That one again is over the timeline of a school year. It tracks each indicator's performance and it's going to open up as you as a district user. It's going to open up as the default to district-wide indicator report. You can also to building level reports. So if you want to just look at just an elementary building or just a middle school building, you can. We've added a new feature to that report. You can now select teachers and look at a subgroup of teachers and look at their report. So if you want to look at just your new teachers and see how they came out of the gate, how they're performing during the fall, you can select those names and you can look at that report with just that subgroup. So that would be that's another nice feature to be able to kind of track performance. Another report that is available to the district user is the classroom observation score distribution report. And that's basically giving you a report of each evaluator and how their observation scores are spread across the 0 to 7 scale. Shows up as a bar graph. And, we're trying to help you just kind of visualize, are we really taking a realistic look across our district at each building and each teacher? Are those scores coming in at the expected level that you would want to see? If it's not, if it's too high, I call it the ski jump. If it looks like a ski jump, you probably got a problem. So we're looking at something that, again, is a slightly right-leaning bell curve is typically the one that you want to see. And last are the status reports. And again, those are more detailed reports, and there's several of those. I'm not going to go into those one at a time, but in your My Reports or in your menu, there's a status reports button, and you can open those up, and it gives you a real look at the different evaluation processes that are going on, particularly when around summative time, in the springtime, when you're wanting to track the progress of the summatives being done. There is a report that is very helpful, and you at the district office and seeing that those have been started and how many of those have been finished and wrapped up, especially as you start to get closer to that March board meeting. All right, and next I want to talk about some focus areas that we want you to know about. Some real talking points that we want you to kind of give back to us is what are some of your focuses this year? And please just drop into the chat box. And I mean, obviously surviving COVID, masking. I mean, I know that's number one on your agenda right now, but if you have other long-term initiatives or focus that you're working on, and new initiatives, whether it be some sort of school improvement or a particular content area, we'd like to see that. And then Lisa's added math instruction. So we'd like to see those over there in the chat box. If you have anything that's in your district this year, we'd like to see those. Okay, lots of new hires there at Sarcox. Yeah, I'm sure, Phil, that's a lot of us struggling through that, which I'm gonna get to that, one of those points here in just a minute. Yeah. Chuck Stockton there supporting new teachers. Yes. Great. And please keep adding those and Benji adding the data-driven instruction. Yeah, that's certainly NEE can help you track your grade level and program level performance in those areas. Great. It sounds like math's pretty popular this year. It's good to see. And along those same lines, let me move on to the some other points in this area, and that we will. I know we're going to be kind of combing through this data that you just entered there in the chat box, so that we're able to be sure and meet your needs. One other item that we've been kind of tracking and interacting with districts is around the MSIP topic, MSIP 6 topic. A number of districts are using the NEE data, particularly the student survey data, to help provide reinforcing evidence for their MSIP review or MSIP documentation. Also, in the unit of instruction, that box 5B, that's where we ask for the input on the measuring student growth during the unit. That's another MSIP 6 checkoff that you're going to have to show that, yeah, we are looking at that. We have a way of gathering, recording, and monitoring that. So that box 5B of your unit of instruction is a great way to do that, a real time and effort saver, and you don't have to set up another whole process in your district to get that done. And again, any of us, including Kathy, could help you as far as kind of planning that, managing that, kind of laying out those processes so that could happen for you. Now we kind of move into another topic is on teacher turnover. Obviously, in most districts, a record number of retirements and exits last year. We just have a lot of turnover this year. And I noticed there in the chat box, there's already several of you mentioned that. We would like to make special note that we do have the beginning teacher assistance modules in EdHub. Those are there to help not just get that check mark made, but it's also there to help these young teachers as they come out of the gate to provide them the extra supports. I'd also point you toward the exemplar video collection that's in there. Sometimes these kids, the lack of tools in their toolbox is pretty evident and they need help. And those videos could be of support to them to help them see what, the highly effective teachers and what strategies they're using based around the different indicators that you might be looking at. So that would be a couple of resources there in EdHub that I would heavily lean on. And just from the new teacher impact, certainly getting to those classrooms quickly, being in there, and probably your principals already have, but from the district leader, just being sure that those and I know I was visiting with one of our Nebraska principals a couple of days ago, and we were talking about, again, that large number of new teachers and how important it was to really set that culture and that expectation for these new teachers. Some of them were new to the field and some of them are new moving in from another district. So it's kind of help set that culture and that level of expectation for your district in their eyes. But again, I would encourage you to go back to pull out that monthly implementation timeline. That's going to help you and certainly make sure your principals know that resource and are using it as they plan their activities each month. Again, I'll keep an eye on the chat box for the next 5 or 6 minutes. If you got a question for me, you can either send it to me individually or put it out to everybody to look at, and I'll be glad to respond back. And Tom, I'm going to hand it back to you for more NEE updates.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. And so that first part is just a solid foundation of what's available to help management-wise with NEE, whether those be reports, whether those be any sort of activity that you may need for managing NEE in your district. We hope that you were able to take away some notes, talk and think through different ways you could use those, whether those, again, be the reports or the implementation timelines or anything else. You heard, as you have questions about integrating those or anything you may see or hear about those, again, be in touch with us, neemissouri.edu, and we will get those answered. Next, we are going to move into updates to NEE, new features of NEE that you may want to know about, may want to seek a little bit more info on. First of all, we will be discussing new modules in EdHub. We have 3 new modules that I want to focus on today that are currently available, ready to be accessed anytime you want. The first, building instructional skills. That building instructional skills module is set up to kind of help provide a little more scaffolding when a teacher is struggling with a specific indicator. Maybe they're consistently scoring low, 0 to 2, or maybe they're scoring in the mid-range 3 to 5, but they're not moving, they're not growing in any real measure on that indicator. So we do have building instructional skills modules available within EdHub for specific indicators that are meant to help provide that necessary scaffolding when a teacher may be struggling and may need a little more support in moving to the next level, whether that's moving from the low range of scores to medium scores or moving from medium scores to high scores. It provides a little more specificity, some specific activities, specific resources, specific conversations between a teacher and a principal to help encourage that movement to get them to that next phase. The second part, the second feature I want to talk about in EdHub, the second new module, is culturally responsive teaching. We have been developing our work, our activity in our professional development offerings around culturally responsive teaching. That will also soon be embedded with more videos specific to culturally responsive teaching, how that looks in various classrooms, what the look-fors are, what the level of effectiveness is in authentic situations. So do check that culturally responsive teaching out in EdHub as well. We have also, based on conversations, based on requests from summer training, we have also put into EdHub our learning, our professional development around effective feedback paths. Those effective feedback paths are what the focus of our summer training was this year. And so we've included it in EdHub as a refresher, whether that's for an individual administrator, whether that's for a whole administrative team, to be able to look at those effective feedback paths, how to set up and how to prepare for the best conversation possible with a teacher. You may also find that it could be helpful in setting up professional development for teachers and how they may provide feedback to students, because like teachers, students are driven by effective feedback, and sometimes that learning needs to take place on what feedback looks like, how to provide the most effective feedback possible based on current specific circumstances, whether that be to a student or a teacher. So do check out those effective feedback paths modules as well, and use that to help with conversations with administrative teams or with teachers at your pleasure. Fourth, another component that we really focused on this summer was digging into special education and learning from special education directors about what sometimes provides challenges for them in their day-to-day operations. And so current work that we're doing in EdHub and that will be available soon focuses on high leverage practices from the Council for Exceptional Children. Again, we'll be dropping those modules soon, but those modules will be especially beneficial for special education teachers, for professional development of those special education teachers, and providing the best possible environments for the students in those special education classrooms. So one way that we heard from special ed directors was that trying to figure out professional development, what was going to stick, what was going to be most beneficial to their special education teachers was always kind of tricky in juggling that. And so we've made professional development components around special education available for special education teachers, general education teachers too, around how to, again, set up environments to help promote the best possible environment for special education students. As you have questions about those, again, always be in touch with us. We are happy to help with any and every question you may have. I'm going to turn it over to Sherry. She's going to talk through a couple of more updates that we've made to NEE.
Hi, everybody wake up because I have 2 new products for you. I feel like a car salesman right now. But there are 2 things I really want you to know about that are new. One is the teacher learning organizer. So basically what that is in a nutshell is it is a way to provide a simple but effective way to document, process, and track professional development. It is nothing that the principal needs to or must evaluate. They can review them if they want. You can use this document any way you want to make it fit your needs. I was just brainstorming, thinking about how would you or why would you want to track professional development? And simply all we're asking the teacher to do is to write down the topic, name it, document what they've learned about it and what does it look like in the classroom. But also we're asking them to put down the number of hours they spend on implementation, planning, and the learning. So why would you maybe want to take a look at that? If you've ever had the Board of Education ask you, what are you doing on all those early out days? Or why are we giving those down periods? If you've ever wondered, what are those teachers doing during their team meetings? If you've ever written a grant and have to have a way to track the implementation of the grant, it would be a great thing. If you send teachers to a conference and ever have wondered, do they ever do anything with that information they learned at the conference? It would be a great way to document that and track those hours. Again, you can use it any way you want. And we just really want it to be there not only to track, but to promote conversation and just another way to help grow teachers. You can also find that if you go under, in the data tool, go under My Organizers, and it will be listed right there. Also, Kathy has a great video in EdHub to help you with that. The next product that is now in the data tool, it's live and working, is the Instructional Coach Evaluation Organizer. It's set up a lot like the counselor and those other evaluations. It is narrative based. So basically what we have done for you is to identify the standards and indicators of an effective coaching program. And then we allow the teachers and the principals to choose probably 3 to 5 of the elements, and for those to be the focus for the year. And then there's also a scoring guide, and it's a 5-point scale. In the organizer itself, it asks teachers to produce evidence as to how they are meeting the standard or the element, the criteria of the element. And I think one of the best things that is on that is that there are examples of evidence that could be collected. So we just don't throw the principal and the coach out there to wonder what they should be writing in those boxes. It's really slick. It's one of the only things out on the market, one of the few things out on the market to help evaluate an instructional coach. You can also make this one work the way it needs to work for your district. We know instructional coaching programs look different in different districts. So it will allow you to pick and choose and utilize it the way that is most effective for you. 2 great new products. Please help us if you are not the person that needs to know about these. If you will make sure you pass this information on to your principals or perhaps your assistant soups that need to know about this, that would, I think, benefit you and help us to get the word out. That's it.
Thank you, Sherry, for the information about those 2 new features in the NEE data tool. I want to talk a little bit more about a brand new feature in the data tool as well. And that is now a district specific ability to create your own classroom observation indicator. So for the past few years, we've been hearing at different points, whether they're districts interested in NEE or whether they're districts that have been using NEE for quite a while, about the ability to make NEE more customizable. And so as with the instructional coach evaluation organizer, where we've made it so it is more modular, we have also really worked to make this process something that allows for that customization, that individualization for your district as well. So what we've developed is a blank that you are able to create and edit for your district. Now I'm going to go ahead and share something via chat as well to show you a little bit more information about this. You'll be able to find that document in chat. You'll be able to find this blank indicator template, the ability to create that indicator, available in the data tool under My Teachers. And when you get to the My Teachers page, you'll go to that second column in My Teachers that says scoring, and then you can see that highlighted component, the third entry, the third option within the scoring section, create, edit, district-specific classroom observation indicators. Let me go ahead and talk about why you as a district may choose to create a specific classroom observation indicator. Maybe you're looking over the list of classroom observation indicators that NEE has made available, and you're seeing that nothing really fits with what you're wanting to measure. And that could be for numerous reasons. Maybe it doesn't get specific enough. Maybe it doesn't highlight the components that you want enough. And so you can now create your own specific classroom observation indicator. It'll always show up as indicator 10.1, and then you'll be able to type in the heading, what that indicator will be measuring, important notes about that indicator, kind of like on indicator 7.4, where we say must score above or must show some form of corrective action to score above a 2. And then with that, you'll also be able to develop your own scoring rubric on that 0 to 7 scale. We do highly encourage that scoring rubric stay true to the language that we use within NEE for all the rest of our scoring rubrics, from moving from no evidence to minimal evidence, on progressing through strong evidence and complete evidence. For this year, you will have the ability to make one customized district-specific classroom observation indicator. Sometimes that may be an easy decision as a district that you may want to make, and may want to say, oh, we already know what that specific classroom observation indicator is. There may also be good conversations to be had with administrators within buildings of certain circumstances where maybe it's the career center that needs a very specific classroom observation indicator for their purposes. Maybe it's the early childhood center that needs a specific classroom observation indicator for their purposes. And you're going to use this district-specific classroom observation indicator to get to the specific needs of one building. But we do want you all to be aware that that is available. We also want to make you aware that we are happy to help with setting up that process, with helping create the defined scoring rubric as you may need, or talking through which indicators may be best fits for something you're wanting to measure a little bit more, and if it's even appropriate to be using this district-specific classroom observation indicator. So really excited about this feature, excited about the customization it allows for each of your districts, as well as the future it holds for what we can do at NEE and how we can continue to advance as well. So again, as you have conversations, questions about that, please be in touch. We're happy to talk more and help you work through that district specific classroom observation indicator. Chuck, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. The slide that we've got on the screen right now says Waterways NEE can provide support, excuse me, to you and your team. One of the things we look at NEE, or we're always looking for what we can do to improve our support for you. So I would like you, if you have some ideas for how we can provide more support to you and your team, to put those in chat. I'm going to continue talking about some things that we are working on for support, but I'll be watching chat to see if you have any additions to that. One of the things that we do to support you and your team is we do have an NEE blog. And if you've not looked at our blog before, I would encourage you to do so. You can find a link to that on the NEE Advantage homepage on the upper right-hand corner. On that blog post, we'll often have timely and relevant articles, or blog posts, I should say, that are about things that are happening in education, specifically in your districts at that time. We've recently had blog posts such as 4 Paths to Effective Feedback, which builds upon the training that we've had this year with our administrators. We had one, Setting the Building Focus Makes Evaluation Processes More Meaningful. And again, that was a timely blog post that helps you at the beginning of the year look at what you might do to set that building focus. But these blog posts are posted or dropped every Wednesday. I would encourage you to look at that. If you have an opportunity, it's a great place to go with great information. Also, we do have webinars such as this periodically offered by NEE. And I would encourage you to look at the schedule of webinars, look for emails coming from Kendra and also from the trainers that will talk about the webinars coming up. We have one next week, for example, on post-observation feedback paths, because we want to continue to offer more support with the information about feedback paths. On October 6th, we have one titled Supervising Principals Effectively. And like I said, periodically as we go through the school year, there will be other webinars that may be of interest to you as well. If you would like to participate, be sure and register. There's a link to scheduling on the NEE homepage. And again, there will be emails that go out from time to time that will give you information about those webinars. Another thing we're excited about too is we're looking at providing office hours this year at various times, hopefully every week or so, when we'll have the trainers and support and other staff members from NEE that will be available in a Zoom session for about an hour or so for you or the building administrators or evaluators, the rest of your district team, to be able to have access to us, to ask us whatever questions you might have. Sometimes you have a thought that you really just want to discuss with someone, and maybe it's better to have that live conversation over Zoom rather than send an email or try to work the problem out that way. So look for those office hours to be coming soon. We're excited about that, and we think that'll be another way that we'll be able to support the things that you need within your districts. Also, we will continue to be working on, well, let me go back for a minute first. Tom mentioned earlier that we spent quite a bit of time in training this year on feedback paths and feedback. While that training was very, very beneficial, we want to continue offering support for that. So we'll be having some webinars and other information that'll be coming up to do with feedback preparation. But as you or your building administrators go through the year and they have questions about feedback, or maybe a situation that might be a little bit might be a little bit better to have a live conversation about, feel free to go ahead and contact the NEE help desk or one of the trainers to support you with that. I saw in chat a comment about if everybody had their own personal Kathy. Kathy is the one who answers the help desk phone. And so if you have questions about anything, I would encourage you at any time to go ahead and contact Kathy. Sherry says we can't let her go. So unfortunately, you can't have her, but you can have those conversations if you'd like to. But again, those are just some of the things that we do to support you and to help you with whatever issues you might have. So I would encourage you again to check out the blog, watch for the webinars, watch for the office hours coming up. But above everything else, anytime you have a question or something that you're looking for or a question, feel free to contact the trainers, or the help desk is always probably your first choice to offer the most support. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next slide, which is an overview of summer training. We talked about summer training somewhat through this session today. We did go through and have our recertification training for our returning administrators or evaluators. That recertification training was offered in interactive Zoom sessions and also on-demand sessions. We also had our new evaluator training, and those were offered as interactive Zoom sessions. One of the things that we did, like we always do, is we did work on practice scoring videos with the most used indicators. But we also wanted to, as Tom mentioned earlier, spend quite a bit of time on administrator to teacher post-observation feedback. And the reason we wanted to do so was really twofold. One is that was something that was being asked for by administrators that they would like to have more information about. But secondly, one of the things that we also noticed was the research focus behind doing this. Slide 15, Tom's got posted now. I normally don't like to read verbatim a slide, but I think this is very important, so I am going to read this today. And slide 15 reads, teachers who report that they receive high quality feedback are more likely to improve their instructional practices as measured by NEE student survey compared to teachers who do not perceive their principal's feedback as being of high quality. So one of the things that we looked at as far as deciding to center in on feedback and make that the focus of our training this year is we looked at the fact that when teachers on the teacher survey, when they rate administrators as giving high quality feedback, the following year, the student survey shows the teachers have improved on the indicators that are the best to be used for making a difference with students. So otherwise, on the teacher survey, when principals are rated high for providing the teacher with face-to-face feedback within 2 working days of observing their classroom, where the principal provides specific feedback regarding ways the teacher can improve, when the principal provides useful and relevant feedback regarding ways the teaching can improve, when the principal provides specific feedback regarding areas of strength in teaching, when that feedback is perceived as useful and relevant to the teacher in areas of strength of teaching, and when the principal demonstrates deep understanding of effective instruction and expects the teacher to provide that instruction, when the teacher rates the principal high on those areas, that is what leads to the improvement on the student survey the following year. So when you look at the reason we do evaluation in the first place, what we're wanting is to see instructional improvement and student growth. And so what we're telling you is that the research that we've done shows that when the teacher perceives that feedback as really helpful and that the principal has knowledge of how to give that feedback, it makes a difference with their teaching and leads to student growth. And again, that's our whole purpose in what we do. That should be our main focus as district and building administrators. So I would recommend that as you go through the year that you monitor through administrator and teacher conversations, how those feedback conferences are going, and also through the NEE teacher survey. So as I mentioned, we did spend quite a bit of time looking at administrator to teacher feedback from the classroom observations. And so I do want to go ahead and kind of tell you how that training went this year and what we really focused on in the training with those administrators. So if we look at slide 16, for example, what it shows us are the 4 feedback paths. Now, this is where we focused our training. Again, based on the research that we did, we felt that using this method would be the most helpful way to help the administrators show that good feedback to teachers and give them what they needed. You'll notice, first of all, that this feedback path chart lists differentiated feedback for each type of teacher. So let's start at the left-hand side and look at the first one. Benji mentioned earlier that one of the things his district is working on is improvement in student engagement. And several of you mentioned that you're working with a lot of your new hires this year. So sometimes when you go into that evaluation, you may see that the teacher lacks some kind of foundational conceptual knowledge about that principle. And maybe in the case of Benji, it might be that they don't really seem to have an understanding of the need for student engagement. So when the administrator goes into a classroom and sees the teacher just really doesn't have that knowledge they need to implement that strategy, what the administrator will do is offer diagnostic feedback in the feedback conference. The word diagnostic itself kind of leans itself to diagnosing the problem with the teacher. And what the administrator will do is try to give the teacher a better understanding of those key concepts associated with those principles. Moving to the second area, prescriptive feedback. This is for a teacher who maybe has an understanding of the need to use a strategy, but just doesn't use it effectively. And again, the term itself kind of lends itself to the type of feedback that it'll be giving. The administrator will be prescribing or helping that teacher understand what a strategy would be or how to work with that strategy to actually implement it effectively. This is where the teacher really has an understanding, but really doesn't know quite how to implement that. And this is where the administrator will give a little more help with that. The third type of feedback path is descriptive. And this is where a teacher is knowledgeable in implementing a strategy, but it could be improved. And again, the title kind of lends itself to what it means. In a descriptive conversation with that teacher, the administrator and teacher would engage in a collaborative discussion on how to improve those strategies. And last, we have the micro feedback path. Sometimes when an evaluator goes into a classroom, they see a teacher that honestly just really implements that lesson and that strategy with a high degree of expertise. I used to talk about this as a teacher who would kind of knock that one out of the park. In this situation, you wouldn't necessarily want to go over everything in the lesson, though you might if the teacher wanted that. But what you would do is look at what the teacher needed for their growth and for what they were working on themselves. So in this example, the teacher would actually be the one who really would determine the focus and the outcome of the conference, because you want to look at what they need to best help them with their continued path in the classroom. So as you see, each one of these feedback paths really does give a differentiated feedback for that administrator. And that's one of the ways the administrator can really demonstrate their expertise in giving the teacher the feedback they need. And the teacher can leave that conference with a high degree of confidence in the feedback that was given. And again, our research shows that leads to teacher growth and student growth, excuse me. All right, let's go ahead and look at the next slide as well. I do want to mention a few more things. Tom mentioned this earlier, but I want to make sure that we're all understanding this too. There have been quite a few new hires late this year. And so if you do have evaluators who still need summer training, that is still available from us in an on-demand format. That's both for the recertification and also for new hires. I do want to mention also that the data tool access will be turned off for anyone who's not completed training this year. And we're assuming at that point that person is no longer evaluating. So if that is a concern of yours, that you have someone that hasn't been through the training, please contact the help desk at the email that's on the slide, and they'll be able to help you set up that on-demand training for your administrators. All right. I think that's all I have today. So I'm going to turn this back over to Tom.
All right, thank you, Chuck. And again, we had some really great conversations with administrators from all backgrounds and school districts across our network about that summer training, about how impactful that guide to effective feedback paths process was. So I do hope you continue to latch on to that, continue having conversations with your building level leaders about those effective feedback paths and how that process, how those really strong guidelines for preparing for a conference are happening throughout the year. As we finish up, I do want to remind you of a few resources we have in EdHub to help with managing NEE on your or for your district. So we do have a couple of places in EdHub that are going to be extremely helpful to you in your management of NEE. These, again, are going to be broken apart, as you can see, on the slide. The first one, NEE training materials. Within that NEE training materials section, we have 4 modules, 4 activities that could be beneficial to you, to different members of your district. Introducing the NEE data tool, creating and managing data tool accounts, creating and using NEE reports, and common NEE user problems and solutions. So you'll be able to go to any of those specific EdHub modules, work through those to learn a little bit more about the data tool, how to manage the different components of the data tool for you, for your district. Also, I want to highlight the educational leadership section of EdHub as well, in terms of providing effective feedback to teachers. As we continue to move, we will continue our focus on feedback because it is really sticking out through our own research of what is moving the needle, what's creating the changes, what's creating those best possible student environments we're wanting to see. The answer is perceptions of feedback and how feedback is given. So as you can see on the slide, we have 6 different EdHub modules and activities to help with that feedback process. Those include what process does the Network for Educator Effectiveness recommend for providing feedback to teachers? What are some best practices? How do effective school leaders navigate difficult conversations? How to use the NEE guide to effective feedback conversations? And what goes into creating a short-term professional growth plan. I also want to shout out here, Sherry Patterson last year did some amazing work on talking through the steps, the components of an effective professional improvement plan process. Later this fall, we are also going to have a webinar on that professional improvement plan process so that it is, again, a conversation that leads to success, that leads to growth, and leads to a positive environment for any teacher that may need to take part in some professional improvement and then come out the other side with a high level of success there. So as you're working through, as you're thinking of how to best use NEE, how to continue the conversations around effective feedback, definitely look at those different places as well. And those should be of immense help to you. As always, do stay in touch with us. We are here to help. We are here to support your instructional leadership, your district leadership at any and every chance you can. If you do need assistance, you see our help desk phone line, as well as, again, nee@missouri.edu. It's here to help you. Kathy is great. We all keep our eyes on that pretty well. We communicate with each other as questions come in. If you do have specific questions for a trainer, definitely ask them as well. We can get you help, resources, assistance in any and every way possible. Do also check out our website, www.neeadvantage.com. Again, we drop blogs every Wednesday and sometimes more frequently than that. We also will keep our events page updated with new webinars and different events to register for. And do keep reading the emails that we send, the announcements in the data tool. And then you could also subscribe to us via Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest. Pinterest has a load of resources for teaching, different activities, different processes, practices, and systems. Facebook and Twitter, where we communicate out updates. So do follow those and see what we're talking about on there. Thank you all for attending today. If you have questions, do stick around. We will take those on right now. If you just want to stick around and say hi, by all means do that as well. We look forward to with you throughout the coming weeks, throughout the year ahead as well, and hope we do see you frequently throughout the webinars we offer, and hope we hear from you, get emails, anything else. So thank you all. have a great rest of your Wednesday, a great week ahead, and look forward to our year together.